Okay. Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, December 2nd, and I am Bonnie Low-Kramen. I'm coming to you live from my home office in Ponte Vedra, Florida, and I want to welcome you all to Heads Together. And I am here with my terrific assistant. Hello there, Jen Wilner.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, everybody from a chilly Edison, New Jersey.
Yeah, it's pretty cold here in Florida as well, but I think it's only going to last a couple of days. But we have a big subject to get to today. I'm really excited for this day. It's as this pandemic keeps going on, the topics, the burning topics just keep coming, and they're revealing themselves like beacons. Before we went live today, we had a conversation about dream jobs and, what we thought we were going to do when we were younger. And Jen, and welcome everybody. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Benita. Welcome to the party. Deborah, I know you were with us this morning at the webinar I did with the folks from London. Pardon the same top. I didn't have a chance to change. Jen, what did you want to be when you were younger?
Oh, so my idol, who I thought my idol was Angela. Angela, who was really Judith Light. So the character Angela, the actress is Judith Light from the show Who's the Boss. And found out wasn't she a legal assistant or marketing?
Was she on Who's the Boss? I don't know if anybody knows. What did Angela do? What was her job? But she wore those great suits with the shoulders, right?
Right.
And I had this vision of being either a flight attendant or a cruise director. And I'm sure those of you who know me can totally understand that. And it's funny how things work out. Hey, Joy from Chicago and Anna Maria, Tara, welcome all of you. We have a great Heads Together today. Jen and I were just talking about dream jobs, and one of mine was maybe to be a flight attendant. And that happens to have been one of the jobs of our guest today. Mm-hmm. The subject today is executive assistants making the move to being chief of staff and or director of administration and or team leader. There's all kinds of language and verbiage around that role, around that move, that leap. What the pandemic has done, and what I've observed, and I've had so many conversations with many, including many of you on this call today. I see your names in the chat. Asking the hard questions during this time, in part because we have the time to think about, what am I doing? Am I happy where I am? Where is my career going? What's next for me? I go to these conferences and we do webinars and I coach assistants one-on-one, and you ask me and say, well, what's next for me? Is there anything beyond being an executive assistant? And the answer is a big yes, absolutely. What this pandemic has done is it's really shone a bright light on the gaps in the workplace. And we've talked about many of the gaps, onboarding and disaster plans. And one of the gaps is the lack of career progression, a career progression plan for assistants, generally speaking, not only in the United States, but globally. And many assistants have the idea in their head, well, oh, okay, maybe my next move in my career is to be a chief of staff. And what is absolutely true, no matter where we're talking about, is that it's not equivalent to be, if you are a great assistant, a great executive assistant, it does not necessarily equate to being a great chief of staff. So I was interested in bringing onto Heads Together, somebody who could speak directly to this issue, someone who's done it, not once, but twice. She happens to be the person who's attended Be the Ultimate Assistant more than anybody else. And so before I introduce Julie Kavanaugh, who many of you know and who is an amazing executive assistant and a very talented and accomplished chief of staff, Julie and I talk all the time. And it's not only about making the move from being an executive assistant to being chief of staff or director of administration, which is what her current title is, but it's about doing it well, because we all know team leaders, chiefs of staff who are in the role and might have been an executive assistant, but are not necessarily doing it well. So that's the difference. Okay, so welcome everybody who's pouring in from around the world. So excited to see you. Let me tell you a little bit about Julie Kavanaugh. Her bio is fantastic. It's amazing. I'm going to get through it pretty quickly, though, so that we can talk straight to Julie. She's been doing administrative work for 35 years. I mean, we are talking such a seasoned professional. Julie and I met. She came to the 2012 Be the Ultimate Assistant workshop in Chicago. And she was fresh off of leaving the Chicago Blackhawks hockey team, supporting the president. And that was an amazing job. And so she came to be with Vicki Evans and me as a super accomplished assistant. As she said, her career really didn't start taking off until about 2008, even though she'd been doing it for a really long time. So she was then with Hillshire Brands in Chicago, where she supported the CEO. And then she helped organize the HEAT, the Hillshire Executive Administrative Team. It was the group of assistants, but she wasn't officially chief of staff. What happened to Julie is what happens with so many assistants, is that you are unofficially the chief of staff. Sometimes it's the assistant to the CEO, sometimes not. But she was wrangling all the assistants without the title and without the responsibility, the official, power behind that. And then she went on to support an entrepreneur, a very successful business person, and she made the move to Kentucky. And then she was chief of staff in that role. And then from an ad on LinkedIn, she answered an ad for director of administration, assistant to the CEO of Vectress in Colorado Springs, where she'd be based in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And so she is coming to us live from her home in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Let us welcome Julie Kavanaugh.
Hi.
Yay! Hi, Julie Kavanaugh.
Hello, Bon and Jen.
Welcome to
Thank
you.
you.
So happy to see you, Jen. Thank you so much for bringing Julie out. Everybody, let's say hi to Julie. And
Hello.
Julie, we've got attendees from all over the world, including some people from your team, right?
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you so much, Bonnie and Jen. I am so honored to be participating in Heads Together. And I first want to do a shout out to my team at Vectress that I get to work with every day. It is a group of 9 incredible and talented women. And I also want to extend that same to my former assistant in Kentucky, Cassandra, if she is on. So thank you again for having me. I'm really excited to talk about my career as an assistant and chief of staff, director of administration.
So Julie, we know that not all chiefs of staff are alike, and there's a lot of confusion about the role. I wanted to bring you in today to straighten us out. Let's, tell us the truth about what do people not understand about this role. And, it's an incredible journey you've had. So take it away.
So, with us, we all are experiencing new ways to navigate in this career in the administrative field. And during this pandemic, finding new ways to work with our executives, work with our teams. It's a time to reflect. And you know, one of the things that I have done through this transition is that you look at a number of various responsibilities, either in the public or private sectors. And the way that we approach it is how you are and how you react that we relate to. One of the things that I found is a gentleman by the name of Steve Hertz, who is the president of a leading talent agency. He recently joined a webinar I was on. And during that time, he discussed a book that he is an author of that says, "Don't take yes for an answer." And I have it right here. And it's using the awe factor of authority, warmth, and energy to get exceptional results. And as I was transitioning to my new organization and the role of the director of administration, and this really hit me. And it is how I approach each day. And I believe in this career that you do have the authority, the warmth, and the energy. And when I look back at things and where I am today, with all of the opportunity, challenges, miracles I have pulled off, I take this into account. And one of the things that I looked at is, you know, you can be an excellent EA, but what does it take to make that leap into being a chief of staff and a director of administration? So, Bonnie, I look at it where you first look at being, an executive assistant. And what does it take, and how do you think of working with your executive, and what to do to make them look good, because you're the face, the ears, everything behind that. And building that confidence, to me, takes you further to that next level. You have the ability to speak up and use your voice. And I think, with some assistants, that they're not comfortable using their voice and saying what's on their mind. And to me, that's what it takes to get, to that next level.
So Julie, I'm going to interrupt you a second. You've been doing this for 35 years. How many years in did it take you to find your voice and to develop that confidence? I mean, you weren't prepared to be a chief of staff at the beginning, right?
Oh, no. And I think, at the introduction, you mentioned that I really did not feel like I hit my stride until I was with the Chicago Blackhawks. And going through, that's a male dominant industry, being, from hockey. And even during that time, I was kind of finding my way on what I had to do to make myself out there, make myself known. And really, I think it was going through that experience and transitioning back into a corporate area is when I really found that confidence. I found that voice. I worked with that CEO and established areas of to be comfortable with me, to trust me. And that's when I really think I hit it, was 2012.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The ultimate assistant, where you came to us. Did you go to the CEO, Sean, and volunteer to wrangle the assistants there, of which I think there were 40-ish?
Yes, there were 40.
Yeah.
There was, they had executive assistants supporting senior leadership team, and then they had the, team of administrative assistants that worked on their way up. And part of my process for Hillshire Brands was to pull together a synergy of a team and do icebreakers. And with a team of 40, you had to find ways to get through those and navigate. And that is what I did with Hillshire Brands, is kind of when I started to get that feeling of, I am a leader and I do have the voice to help them grow and, their confidence as well.
yeah, and that was way pre-pandemic. So you were actually meeting in rooms. I mean, you brought Vicki and I in to the company. Did they take to that, like prior to you, they didn't have anything for the administrative staff, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what, the proactivity is important here. And you, did you get a yes, a hell yes right away, or was it you had to sell it?
No, I did get a hell yes right away, because that was part of the reason why I was brought on, was to bring this group together. But as you mentioned, I was an executive assistant. I had the unofficial responsibility and the title of a chief of staff. But because of who I am, what I bring, that did not really have any impact with me, or didn't even think of that. I just wanted to have these assistants succeed and know.
Yeah. Let me just say this, that around this country and in places around the world, this is, for you, it wasn't a problem, but for many assistants who are given that unofficial responsibility of wrangling the staff, it's kind of like one hand tied behind your back, because on one hand, you're looked to as a leader, and on the other hand, you don't really officially have the responsibility. And you were brought in to do that. I just want everybody on the call to hear that what I'm hearing is that leaders do recognize that there's a need to have a leader over the administrative staff. They just don't know how to make that happen.
Exactly.
And so there comes somebody like Julie. And so my question becomes, so Julie's been at BTUA many, many times. We've, talked so much over the years, but my question now is, how are we going to build chiefs of staff? How are those people going to be present and ready for what this workplace is looking like in these next months and years? So Julie, please take it away from here. But I think that's a really big concern.
Yes. And I do see that, even with, I'm in 2 months into my new role, and the leadership team, they do recognize that it is needed to have a director of administration over the team, but that is new. It's new for them, having the leadership and having that strategic partnership. So a few of the attributes that I think are extremely important for someone that wants to transition to a chief of staff and a director of administration is to first look at yourself for your self-empowerment and what you need to do to grow that and take the leads into building a strong self-confidence. And once you are comfortable with that confidence, then that confidence level that you have when you enter a room, they know who you are, they know what business you mean, and what you are bringing to that organization and to those meetings. And so,
and time out 1 second. You need to know Julie Kavanaugh is 6 feet tall. So when she walks into a room, you know it. But you don't have to be 6 feet tall to come in with that confidence. Oh, Julie, I want you to continue, but I want to tell everybody that if you have questions, please put them into the chat. Julie is going to take questions.
Yes.
We are going to stay over a little bit longer than the half hour, and Jen Wilner is going to be monitoring the chat. So please continue. Sorry, Julie.
No, that's fine. Thanks, Bon. One of the things that you need to have is you need to be very loyal and trustworthy. And of course, as we all know, you have to be a mind reader. You have to be a mind reader with your executive, because half the time they don't tell you like what's going on or what's happening. And so you have to be really on top of that. And with that comes owning your mistakes. And so if, we all make mistakes, and you need to just own up on them, and don't be afraid or back off from expressing, what had happened. Organized. I can't express that enough. You need to be very organized and the attention to detail needs to be impeccable, so that you're not missing a step. Flexible and focused, friendly, transparent, and open, and you're really a mentor. You can be a mentor to even the leadership team, to the CEO, to assistants inside and externally. Again, transparent and honest, provide feedback. And, you know, as you start to get those and feel very confident about them, it will transition. And that's how it transitioned with me. I never like reached out and said, I'm going to be a chief of staff, director of administration. I knew it was within me.
Yeah.
But I had to express that and show that to my organization and to my executives.
Right. Yes, this session is being recorded, Edwina.
Yes.
We had that question in the chat. And Julie, this is an important one because I had the same question. Can you speak to those steps towards self-empowerment? You know, that the sentence you said may be a short one, that we need to have confidence, but
Yes.
there are many comments in the chat that confidence is the game changer. It is, but it is easy to say and not so easy to do. Can you talk through some actionable steps that this group can take?
So Bonnie, I'm gonna put it back to how I got the self-empowerment and I got the confidence is through conferences. It's through webinars like this. I never had anyone prior to that show me, teach me like how to become more confident and bring that out in myself. And it is with attending webinars like this, getting engaged with the attendees and growing that network. To me, as Bonnie and Jen know, my network to me is where it has really helped me grow and given me that confidence. And so the self-empowerment part is researching and getting material and books and, you know, engaging, like I said, in things like this. This is what really helped me have my voice. And to me, that is self-empowerment, growing your voice makes you stronger and confident. And it also increases the ability to say no, because we don't say no enough as assistants. We are always saying, yes, I will do that. Yes, I will do that. And you need to find that way of being confident. And another suggestion that I have is if you do not have a mentor, you know, reach out through LinkedIn, reach out through professional organizations, get a mentor, and that mentor can help you with your self-confidence, your empowerment, your skills.
Right. Julie, can you just give us an example of something you do as director of administration that's tricky? That is, you know, you've got this team of people, it can be currently, it can be in the past, but without naming names, give us an example of a tricky thing that chiefs of staff have to do.
So I am going to use as a current example. So again, I'm new into the role at Vectress, and I have stepped into this role with, like I said, incredible women. And in the past, they never had the ability to share things between each other and focus on themselves as an executive assistant or the training. And so one of the things, you know, that I'm doing and overcoming is trying to do a 360-degree turn from what was in the past to what is current. And I have, in the 2 months, been there 2 months, I have established every 2 week team meeting, and something entirely different was that I had this CEO come in and welcome the group, thank the group, thank them for everything that they were doing. It was a surprise to them, so they did not know it was happening. And since that time, I have a leadership team member that comes in for the first 15 minutes to give an overview of who they are, what they do, the type of positions, their projects that they're responsible for, and to bring out and help my team grow with this self-empowerment and their self-confidence is I do not lead the meetings. An assistant will lead the meeting, and they set the agenda. I will provide input, but I don't lead it. And so it's a rotational basis.
Did you ever do that before? Did you do that at Hillshire?
No, I did not.
You created that for here.
Yes, I created that for here. And another thing, is to build that trust between the executive assistant and the leader. We do one-on-ones. And so it's set up with the assistants at their comfort level on how often they would like to have the one-on-ones with me.
Wow.
And again, that's building the trust. And then secondly, we've instituted a mentorship workshop, and I'm not in those mentorship workshops. That's my team mentoring themselves to, again, build that confidence.
How many of them are there?
There's 9.
9 of them. Yeah. So cool. Hey, Jen, can you come on back? Julie, you ready to take some questions?
I am.
Because they're coming from all over the world, from people who you know. Jen?
I can see them.
Lots of questions.
Okay, let's go. Let's go as fast as we can.
Okay, so first one I see from Sandy. Do you deal with budgets and strategies with the CEO as well as working with the admins?
Hi, Sandy. It's very nice to meet you. And so I do work with budgets. I work with the CEO's budget. I also work with human resources. And I think, what was the other part of the question?
Sorry. Oh my goodness, they're just like
strategies. Was it strategies?
Yeah. As well as working with the admins.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, with the admin team, with the amount of history that they have, they're the ones that are teaching me about expenses and, the way to navigate through those. So they're teaching me, because that is something where I've never had to handle that before, and now I work with that.
Fantastic. Okay, so we have a pretty long one from Ike. So
I love Ike. Hi, Ike.
Some people who end up in the EA roles take on responsibilities they didn't realize come with being an EA. In that same vein, what qualities or traits do you think a lot of EAs have that make us good EAs, but would not translate well if we were to move into chief of staff role? And is there a certain type of accountability or responsibility that some EAs may not be interested in if they move into the COS role?
So, into the chief of staff role, let me answer maybe his end question first. So in the chief of staff role, you do take on there could be the possibility of taking on a lot of personal responsibilities to make that help that executive out. Some executive assistants do not care to do that. And with the chief of staff, director of administration role, I've just seen it over and over that is a natural progression. Like, they don't even think twice about it from that. So that might be one area where people may not have interest in doing that. Along the responsibilities and different different types of what makes a good EA to a great EA is, to me, understanding that organization inside and out, and understanding and participating in meetings. And so some assistants may not have it where they're able to participate in meetings, attend leadership meetings, and it really, really helps gain that confidence again and elevate that assistant from good to great by understanding the organization, participating, attending meetings, and you take little baby steps in making that happen. It doesn't happen overnight, but you might see different things that come across that you have interest in, and you should make that recommendation to your executive about, hey, I see this meeting is coming up. May I sit in on it? And just keep trying to do that. And I also have that where people don't get to meet with their executive, very often. And I make the suggestion, well, how often would you, as an assistant, like to meet with that executive? And start out like small, like maybe it's like once a week, maybe it's twice a week, and you'll start seeing it progress, and it'll just come automatic.
Let me interject something here. Ike's question, I loved where he was going here because of the qualities that are needed that that Julie has for sure. She does not take no for an answer. She does not. EAs often do take no for an answer. Yeah. Julie persists. I don't know that I've met too many like her. That is a quality that she has. Also, you have to love people. Yeah. She's got, 9 people on this team. She's 40 people on the other team. You've got to love getting in there and understanding what make people tick, right? Mm-hmm. Right, Joe? Like, you can't be a chief of staff and not care about the different personalities of people and what's going on in their lives, kind of thing. If you're not that kind of person where you really don't care, about the details of other people's lives, then that's not going to work. Right. Your assertiveness, you do it charmingly. But if Julie has a mission, trust me, if we had several hours, she could dazzle you with some of the most amazing stories. And in fact, we're going to bring her back on in a few weeks, hopefully, and she's going to talk about internal networks. So Jen, I just felt like I needed to talk about that.
Okay, so we have another one from our friend Mary Alanis. As Mary says, as you started this role, Julie, what have been talents you have had to develop to keep relevant and up to date? And what certifications do you recommend?
So to keep up to date, again, many of you know Vicki Sokol-Evans. Vicki, along with Bonnie, is a great friend and mentor to me. And to me, noticing the ever-changing technology and the software that is out there, you really need to keep up on that, because executives don't have time to sit down and learn what is changing in PowerPoint or Outlook or OneNote, and they rely on you to do that and not bring issues to them regarding, I don't know how to do this with that. And that would be like a number one thing that I would recommend, is to really keep up with your skills as it relates to Microsoft.
Do you have certifications though, Jill?
I do not actually have certifications.
Right. And you don't, and the degree, do you have a college degree?
No, I do not.
No. So see, I thank you for just sharing that, because I know where Mary's going here. It is not necessary. Look at Julie. It is not necessary to have the degree. It is not necessary to have the certifications. It is necessary, though, to get the training. You may not have gotten the certifications, but you've gotten the training so you can hit the ground running.
Yes. And I bring that up that, Bonnie mentioned that I've attended a number of BTUA conferences. And, the question is always posed to me on why do you keep returning? And it's because I want to keep up on what's happening new. I want the new technology. I want to know how to do things, build my network, because you are always asked as an assistant to pull off miracles. And that's where Bonnie comes in, where I said, like taking a no for an answer is not me, because of the network, I'm able to reach out and find out what it is that I don't know. And then I have that ability to show that to someone else.
Right. And that takes confidence. And, like she doesn't take no for an answer. So even if a degree was required on a job that she really wanted, it means going for it anyway. But part of chief of staff means having tough conversations with the team at times if there's performance issues, right, Julie? And, they're just difficult conversations that not everyone is equipped to have. But an assertiveness is absolutely required. Jen, where are we going next?
Megan asks, can you give us an example you had to say no?
So I've had many different experiences in my multiple industries that I have been in. And, I would have to say being in the sports industry puts you into a lot of different scenarios, let's say. And, working with a hockey team, and you could be asked certain scenarios being as an assistant that they think is going, above and beyond, and they don't think twice about it. And obviously I can't do names or anything like that, but, being a woman in a male dominated industry is challenging enough in the fact, but when you are asked to take paperwork, for instance, and you have to take paperwork into a locker room, and if you're not comfortable with that, I mean, it's different scenarios from being in different industries, and I had to say no, because I'm not going to put myself in a situation like that. Were
you nervous? Were you nervous about saying no?
No. No.
Julie, have you ever had to fight for training dollars?
The what?
Did you ever have to fight for training dollars? To get your executives to pay for you to go to training, whether it's been BTUA or others?
So, and again, I'm transparent and honest with it, that since my training, really took off in 2012, I've always had the fortunate instances where my employers understood the importance of the training and what I brought to that table, and what I brought back after my conferences that I did not.
But here's the thing about Julie, everybody on this call needs to know, typically, and I know I instilled this in you from the beginning, was to, in any job negotiation, to ask or to make it an expectation. Can you speak to that?
Yes. And so one of the very first things that I put out there when I'm working through a job offer or salary or something like that is, to me, it is so important on the professional development and the training, because I can attest to that. I'm one of them that has succeeded with the professional development. So I speak to the employers, and I said, one of the conditions of me coming on into this position is a training budget. And so then I work through and I help them out figuring out, if it's something new, what that would be. And I take into account my team and what that cost would be associated to cover everyone across the board, because I do not want to leave anybody out. So that, to me, is a very important part of me taking on a role, is that professional development is a part of it.
And advocating for yourself is an example of leadership, of standing up for yourself means that you can then stand up for your team.
Yeah.
Jen, I'm going to go to Lucretia's question. She's saying from Washington, D.C., Julie, what type of stretch assignments should we look for to gain experience? I'm thinking about the concert you wrangled in Kentucky, but I'm sure you have many, many stretch assignments, volunteering for stuff. What are you?
Oh, yeah. So if I can relate that experience of that concert in Kentucky,
I think it's pretty mind-boggling. Yeah, I think that everybody on this call will welcome it. We are recording this in case you need to go, but this story is worth listening to. And then I've got some announcements after Julie answers this about you're going to be able your contact information, Julie Kavanaugh. Can we give the business one?
Oh, yes. So you can share that in the chat, or if you email it out.
Julie.Kavanaugh@vectress.com. So Julie's going to talk about a stretch assignment she had when she was in Kentucky a year or so ago. Was it that?
Yes, it was 2018.
Oh, okay.
And we were getting ready to do a groundbreaking ceremony. And so it was a very small staff, and it was at that point it was just myself and my assistant. And my executive came on and gave me 30 days to pull together a citywide concert. And it ended up being actually 3 different events. So we were planning 3 events that happened all in one day. And we're talking military, government officials, celebrity musicians, flying them all in.
But were you told what to do, or you were dreaming this up yourself?
No, I was not. We were not told what to do. So
you just knew you had to make it great.
Had to make it great. Had to make it happen, no matter what it took. And it turned out being a huge success. We had the 3 different events, and the concert ended it at the evening where we had local musicians. We had to close down the main city street. So you had to work with city officials to get that all approved. And
who were some of the names you had to get at the last minute?
So I had Naomi Judd. So hopefully everybody knows the Judds. And Tanya Tucker. So, with that. And then again, like local officials. And then we had an up and coming country music star. She was only 16 years old. And we made that all happen. The concert went off without a success. We had no hiccups.
How many people came to this thing?
I would say overall through the combined events, it was probably like 2,500 to 3,000. But one of the difficulties was, of course, was your security, because your government officials and, of course, the celebrities and how they had to be handled with that.
So you had all that experience from the Blackhawks, though. Yes. You had a lot of stored up experience. So Lucretia and everybody there, Julie gets these assignments and then she runs with them, just imagining what it could be. I recall you telling me, Julie, you had to organize tents and chairs. You can imagine, like, your wheels are spinning. I know this, catering and police.
We had a rainstorm the night before and the morning of that blew down the tent.
And then people were going above and beyond because they wanted to do it for you.
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And through my network connections. Right. And I did catch one question. Somebody asked me, because I received the key to the city. And so somebody had asked me that's when I kind of got the key to the city. It was after the fact, but yes, that had to do with it. So.
Okay. So here we are, almost 45 minutes in. Julie Kavanaugh, you are a superstar, and everyone on this call knows it. Jen is putting Julie's contact information in the chat. And Julie, is it fair to say you welcome any and all questions?
Yes, please.
From this audience? Not only is Julie one of the most accomplished assistants / directors of administration in our country, but she is also one of the most generous. I'm getting goosebumps talking about you. One of the things we teach at Be the Ultimate Assistant, and I'm so gratified to know that so many of you are on this call, is that you know that it's not enough for you to get this training. It's vital for you to teach what you know and to share with others what this is, because that's going to build our future chiefs of staff. And I'm already worried because the companies need you, need chiefs of staff, need directors of administration, but where's that training happening? I want to help you do it. Julie wants to help you do it. We need great people. It's not enough to become the role. We need you to be great at it because people's lives are at stake here. Your salaries are at stake, titles are at stake, job descriptions are at stake. Okay. So this is a big subject. Go ahead, Jewel.
So I want to add, because I know there's probably many questions, that are out there that we didn't get to. And, Jen, I don't know if there's a way to kind of capture those.
Yes.
But if you have those and would like to email those to me, I will respond to them.
I feel certain you will. So next week, we have another BTUAer joining us. The subject next week is another burning subject on the horizon, and that is travel. Any minute now, we're going to have a vaccine, right? And any minute now, your executives may come to you and say, okay, ready to travel next week. Well, are you ready for that? Because Mary Alaniz, who is on the call today, Mary is from Houston, Texas. She organizes an admin professionals group down there. She's really such an accomplished assistant herself at Baker Hughes. She's agreed to come on next week to talk about the ins and outs of travel in 2020, which is even if you were doing travel for a lot of time, for years, what Mary has made me understand is that it's a whole new ball game of rules to know, protocols to know with the airlines, the consulates, the country. Freak me out. All I know is if it were me, I'd want to start doing my homework right now in case it's next week that your executive says, okay, I'm ready, I'm going. And so only you know if you're ready with that kind of contact information. So Mary, thank you so much for agreeing to be with us next week at 3 p.m. A couple of announcements. We had a Black Friday promotion for Be the Ultimate Assistant on Demand, the video course that Vicki and I did in answer to the pandemic. We're extending that Black Friday special to all of you on this call. It's 50% off the total price. So that would reduce it to $6.99. Jen, what is the promo code, please, that you put?
The promo code is thanks BTUAOD.
Thanks BTUAOD. And this Saturday, I'm doing a 2-hour event called Aha Moments from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time. And so if you purchase that Be the Ultimate Assistant on Demand, we're throwing in a ticket to that. And we've got a global audience coming on Saturday via Zoom. It's going to be awesome. And I've got some surprises up my sleeve. The magic comes when you all participate in what this learning is all about. We've got such a situation going on right now in the global workplace, and we need to wrangle it. We can't be victims to it. We need to embrace it in a big way and get a hold of this thing. And the only way I know how to do that is to gather in places like Zoom and on StreamYard so that we can share information together. Okay, Jen, did I forget anything, ma'am?
No, we've got the code, the link. You guys can just click on the link and jump right over and get your
Oh my gosh, Karen Montgomery is here, Julie.
Yes, I saw that. Hello, Karen.
Such old friends, new friends. We are so grateful to you for joining us from all over the world. The replay will be on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Jen Wilner, thank you so much for all of your help as always. And let us thank Julie Kavanaugh. Julie, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and to share just a tiny bit about what you know about this gigantic subject that you're doing magnificently. And we thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me.
Okay. Bye now. See you next week. Tell others.
Bye.